She looked at him as if he were invisible, not because he wasn't good enough, not because he lacked beauty, intelligence, or affection, but because something inside her simply didn't feel it. And the most brutal part of all this, not even she could explain why. The man did everything right. Present, available, polite, constant, and yet he lost to someone who barely responded to her messages, who didn't seem to care, but who made her heart race without any logic. Is that unfair? Maybe. But it's real. The world of attraction isn't fair, and those who seek justice in this field become just another statistic among the ignored. What you're about to hear are 3 harsh, uncomfortable, and powerful truths. Truths that will take you away from the crowd of men who follow formulas that don't work and place you among the rare few who understand how female instinct works, where emotion rules and logic is just an obedient secretary. While you try to convince her with your life's resume, another guy will entice her with the script of what she imagines she feels. It's not about who you are, but about what you make her feel without her even realizing it. Nietzsche said that happiness is the feeling that power grows. In the game of attraction, power is invisible, and it comes from your ability to play on her emotions without asking for permission. This video is not about winning women over. It's about dominating a field where the rules are silent, but the impact is visceral. Brace yourself, because this isn't self-help advice. It's the anatomy of emotional advantage. And once you see what's behind their reactions, you'll never be able to unsee it. She looks you in the eye and says, "He's handsome, he has a good job, he's a trustworthy guy, but I don't know. Something's missing." You hear this and try to understand it rationally, like an engineer solving a technical defect. Does she need more affection, more attention, better communication? And while you're looking for that logical answer, she's already gone into the arms of someone who doesn't give her any of that, but makes her feel everything she can't explain. The brutal truth is this: what she feels and what she says she feels are 2 completely different things. They are 2 planets that orbit the same desire, but never touch. The problem is that you're always trying to seduce her through the planet of words, when all that really matters is hidden in the realm of instinct. A woman doesn't fall in love with what she understands. She falls in love with what confuses her. And in this paradox lies her biggest mistake or her biggest advantage. Psychology revealed this a long time ago, but few men have had the courage to accept it. When making purchasing decisions, for example, people buy with emotion and justify with logic. Someone buys a very expensive car and says, "It's safe, it's fast, it's reliable." That's a lie. He bought it because he felt powerful, desired, alive. The brain creates the emotion. The ego builds the justification. With women, it's even deeper, because women's emotions are more refined, more sensitive to invisible stimuli. And when she feels emotionally touched, even for no apparent reason, she builds the reasons for it later. He's different. There's something about him. I can't explain it. This is not a compliment. It's proof that you've hit the right spot, the subconscious. Robert Greene once said, "It's not logic that excites, but enchantment." The true seducer doesn't explain anything. He engages. He lets her brain struggle to understand what her body has already decided to feel. And it's in this internal conflict that attachment is born. Every time she tries to explain to you, to her friends, or to herself why she's involved, she's strengthening that bond. But for that to happen, you need to stop selling logic as if it were seduction. You say you're stable, that you work out, that you read books. She listens and smiles, but she feels nothing because her heart is searching for something that challenges her, that takes her out of control, that makes the world seem less predictable. Predictability kills desire. Emotional instability, controlled and well measured, is an aphrodisiac. That's why so many women get involved with bad men. It's not because they're stupid. It's because these guys, even without wanting to, access layers of the emotional that good men would never allow themselves to touch. But here's the twist. You don't have to be a jerk to provoke this. You just have to stop being predictable. Phrases that create curiosity and tension, such as, "You have the look of someone who carries secrets but doesn't share them with just anyone," or "You seem strong to me, but something about you reveals a sensitivity that you hide," are weapons. They are keys that unlock emotional doors that even she didn't know were locked. And when she feels this, she stops listening to what you say. She starts to feel who you are. Does this scare her? It should, because it means that everything you were taught about being the ideal guy doesn't apply here. A woman wants someone who will take her out of her mental routine, who will elegantly disrupt the flow of predictability in which she lives. And you will lose if you keep trying to convince her rationally, because while you argue, another man silences her. And in that silence, she feels it. She's sitting alone, staring at her phone. No notifications from you, no good morning, no how are you, no sign that you're still orbiting that emotional universe you've created. And it's in that silence that the game changes. Because while most men believe that connection is strengthened with presence, messages, and constant attention, the brutal truth is that true attachment is born when you disappear at the right moment. The female brain doesn't fall in love during the encounter. It falls in love later when she's alone, replaying conversations, remembering your smell, the way you looked at her before leaving without saying everything. That's when the movie starts playing in her head, and the more gaps you leave, the more she fills them with fantasy. Most men live in panic of emptiness. They think if I don't answer now, someone else will answer, and maybe they will. But what these men don't understand is that desire isn't born from security. It's born from tension, from doubt, from why hasn't he called me yet? Desire is not linear. It is an emotional loop that feeds on absence. That is why when you strategically disappear, you are not losing ground. You are creating space for her mind to desire you. This is neuroscience, and it is also art. The philosopher Ortega Gasset said that the combination of fascination and surrender is essential for love. But fascination does not survive when everything is handed to her on a silver platter. Fascination needs absence, shadows, mystery. The seducer who understands this acts like a film director. He ends the scene at the most intense moment and leaves the audience thirsty for the next one. When you send that perfect message, create an intense connection, and then fall silent, she goes into internal collapse. Not because you disappeared, but because the film had no ending. The mind hates unfinished stories, and it will keep repeating the scene until it finds meaning. This repetition is what generates attachment. She remembers what you said, the way you smiled, the way you picked up the glass of wine, or how you looked at her without responding. And while she tries to decipher these codes, you become an emotional presence even in your physical absence. This is more powerful than any conversation because it is her imagination that does the work for you. And imagination always edits. It removes your flaws, enhances your merits, softens your flaws. You become bigger than you are, more interesting, more desired, more inexplicable. But there's a fine line between mystery and disinterest. Disappearing is not vanishing. It is knowing when to be silent. It is knowing when to let her experience the emotional impact you have caused. It is causing a shock and then letting the echo spread. If you interrupt this process with empty messages, with automatic good mornings, or trying to confirm her interest, you break the magic. You force a cycle that should be spontaneous. You interfere with the most powerful work of attraction, calibrated emotional absence. Many men lose incredible women, not because they were bad, but because they were too available, too present. He is great, but I don't get butterflies. What she means is, he never left my brain in doubt. And that's fatal because desire is born from uncertainty, from unpredictability, from the pulsating absence. This technique is not for amateurs. It requires emotional control. You'll want to write. You'll want to justify yourself. You'll fear losing her to someone faster. But every time you hold back, you feed the right game. A woman doesn't get addicted to attention. She gets addicted to the feeling of being emotionally committed to someone who isn't immediately within reach. And when you finally show up, she's already emotionally yours. Because what holds her back isn't you. It's what you make her feel when you're not there. When you understand this, you leave the field of those who beg for presence and enter the select group of those who control emotional time. You don't speed up. You disappear at the peak. And when you come back, she's been waiting for you for hours inside your head. She crosses her arms, looks at you, and says, "I don't want you to misunderstand me. It's just that I'm not like that." At that moment, the tables are turned, and you didn't even notice. Most men hear female justifications as something banal, almost annoying. But what's happening there is this silent construction of attachment. Her brain is trying to organize something that has already happened emotionally. She felt vulnerable around you, and now she needs to explain herself. And here's the brutal truth that no one tells you. When a woman justifies herself emotionally, she's not explaining, she's investing. And every emotional investment needs to protect itself. The more she tries to make you understand who she is, the more she gives you power, because she starts to depend on your perception to keep her own internal narrative coherent. This is pure behavioral neuroscience. The philosopher Jose Ortega Agasa wrote that surrender is born of fascination, but fascination without resistance turns into boredom. What fascinates is not the constant praise. It's the mirror that distorts, provokes, and challenges. When you make a provocative interpretation, like you look like someone who hurts others without realizing it, and she replies, "No, I'm the opposite of that." She has just started to prove to you that she is someone who deserves your validation, and at that moment, you stop being just another person. You became a reference. This is where most people go wrong. They try to clarify, please resolve the tension, but tension is the womb of desire. Emotional discomfort is the space where she thinks about you the most. And you need to understand that at that moment, the most seductive thing you can do is do nothing. Let her explain. Let her talk. Let her build the web that binds her to you on her own. Explanations are a ritual of attachment. The more she talks about herself, the more you become the center of her emotional universe. You have become the mirror she wants to please, the judge she wants to impress, the mystery she wants to decipher. It is no coincidence that she talks to you again days later just to say, "I was thinking about what you said." This is attachment. This is fixation. And the more she tries to prove you wrong, the more you keep her engaged. That's why the true master of attraction doesn't seek acceptance. He offers doubt, not about respect, but about emotional reading. He plays with perceptions, not statements. And when she finally manages to convince you of who she is, the relief she feels isn't about you understanding her. It's about you validating her, because she had to convince you, and now your opinion matters. You've become the yardstick. You're the filter she wants to pass through. The final question is, do you want to be the man she admires or the man she has to convince? The first is respected. The second is desired. Now that you understand what they never confess, the game changes. You realize that it's not about being the most handsome, the richest, or the most present. It's about being the most emotionally striking. Because in the end, she doesn't remember what you said. She remembers what you made her feel when the world around her fell silent. And that you can't train in a gym, you can't buy it in a store, you can't learn it through generic seduction formulas. That's achieved with emotional intelligence, time management, and mastery of the invisible. While others run after attention, you become the echoing absence. While others explain who they are, you become the enigma she needs to decipher. And while others try to convince her with logic, you engage her with emotion until her brain starts to justify on its own why you're different. Remember, true power isn't in being desired. It's in being emotionally necessary. Whoever masters the art of awakening feminine emotions without rushing, without anxiety, and without giving in to superficial games has the only truly unfair advantage in this field, being remembered even after they have already left.